What's up, YouTube? It's NG, the Neon X. What's up, YouTube? It's NG, the Neon X, and I'm back. Why?
Now everybody scream enough respect to the X. Enough respect given.
What's up, YouTube? It's NG, the Neon X, and I'm back. And today I'm into my OG Galaxy Fold. Alright, so the original Galaxy Fold came out 2019, September 25th, 2019. We all know the story of the Fold. It's technically the first foldable or mass market foldable that was available. Many would think it's the first, but the first one commercially available was a phone called the Royal Flex Pi. Now, that phone did not do very well at all. The company pretty much made it as a proof of concept, I guess. You could buy it, but you can go watch reviews on it. It wasn't the best device at all. The folding mechanism made noise. It didn't fold flat. All kinds of things, all kinds of issues. But they were the first to release a folding phone. But then Samsung came along with a different form factor for said closing phone. The story of the Galaxy Fold is one filled with pain and fraught with misery to many, simply because what we had hoped for wasn't exactly what we got. When they first announced the Galaxy Fold, there was multiple colors. It was supposed to come out months before. But when Samsung began to send out the phone out, the inner screen began to peel off. Pretty much, the Fold wasn't ready for the masses yet, and Samsung had to delay the release of the device. And that's a pretty bad taste in many people's mouths. Like, wow, the first foldable phone, and as soon as it gets in people's hands, it starts to break. Now, sometime later, Samsung did fix the initial issue with the inner screen being able to be peeled off, and hence destroying the phone. And they did re-release, or they did change the release date for the phone, and again, you were able to. I don't think you were able to pre-order it, at least not for any extended period of time. You just bought the phone and that was that. So they made the changes to the device, and they released it into the world. Now, the phone wasn't met with the biggest praise. A lot of people shut down the phone for not being ready. They didn't like the small screen. They didn't like the way the inner screen was just folding, or this plastic material. They knocked it about having a large notch at the side. They knocked it for the cameras themselves, the 3 cameras at the back. They weren't the best cameras on a device. They knocked it for the price of $2,000, which is, even by today's standards, a very expensive phone. But I got one, and anyway, nothing they said could deter me from getting the device that I thought was the first revolution for mobile phones in the longest time. Maybe evolution, but to me it was more of a revolution. This was the change that the boring slab phones needed to be more interesting to the public again. Those phones were just getting boring. Now along comes the Fold with a completely different form factor. It's narrow when it's closed, has this screen here which most people didn't like. I found it fine. And it had this interior screen which allowed you to turn the phone into a tablet when you needed it. I, for the life of me, couldn't understand why people couldn't see this was the future of mobile devices. Why carry a phone and a tablet when your phone can be a tablet? So when I was able to get one, which was surprisingly early in this release, I really thought that there would be no way I could get one. But AT&T was nice enough to me to, you know, allow me to order the phone, and they shipped it to me the very next day. So I got the device and I immediately fell in love with what was in my hand. It was the most amazing piece of tech I had personally held in a long time. And I love my LG devices, and they've always been to me the pinnacle of what one can try and do with a phone. Their experimentation with devices was what made me fall in love with them to begin with. And here comes Samsung saying, you know what, we can do one better. What do you think of this? And you know what? This was amazing. And it was so amazing that I said, no, I have to share this feeling of joy with the rest of the world. And I decided to speak my mind on the device on YouTube. And that's what started my whole channel as it is now. This device right here. Let's talk about the so-called value proposition of the original Galaxy Fold. Because I hear people talk about how the newer folds cost less than what the original Fold cost, but you get so much more. And I've always had an issue with that sentiment, because I think it's the other way around. Let me explain. Now, I put my Fold down. All right, here is the box to the original Fold. No, there's no Z. I hate that moniker. They have Z Fold, whatever. I like when it was just the Galaxy Fold. See how it folds around? Great box. Now look at the size. It's a pretty big box, because back then a box had stuff in it, and unboxing was an experience. Now let's see what this box came with. First of all, cover box, take off that. Then you have an additional box inside. Again, the design of this thing was amazing, still is amazing, especially compared to what folds come with now. Another slide out piece. Not to do an unboxing for you, but this needs to be done so you see where I'm coming from. Now when you take off this lid, if memory serves, the original Fold was right in here. So just like that, you had the amazing presentation, your device bordered by this nice foam frame just revealed to you. Wonderful presentation. Now underneath you had all of your paperwork and such, which we won't get into right now, because what is important is what is back here, what the device came with, which is why I think the value proposition is greater with the original Fold than with the newer Folds. First, we came with, you know, lo and behold, a fast charging power brick. Now, as we know, thanks to Apple and the industry liking to play the sheep, most devices do not come with a power brick. This one did. You came with your data transfer module. Again, most devices do not come with this anymore. You got your charging cable / data transfer cable. USB-C, of course, one cord to rule them all. Great. And you also got the newest pair of Galaxy Buds, at least at the time. The new Galaxy Buds. So not only did you get the Fold itself, and a power brick, and your USB-C cable, and your data transfer module, you also got the newest pair of Galaxy Buds. All in the box. Now, if that wasn't enough, you got a case. This case came with the device in the box free of charge. Now, I've always shown you that my device is not in perfect condition, as old as it is, but you got a case for the device. So let's put this here as well. And then the piece de resistance, as I like to say, every Galaxy Fold was a 512 gigabit variant. So for the $2,000 that this device cost, you got a slew of accessories in the box. So right out the box, you got the full Galaxy Fold experience that Samsung wanted you to experience. So with that, to me, it was more than worth the asking price. Now, for comparison, here is my box to the Z Fold 3. As far as I know, the box to the Z Fold 4 is pretty much the exact same thing. Let's look at the size of the box. Very slim, very sleek, very petite. I think you know where I'm going with this. In the box, the phone, what I had, was right here. Not nicely framed. The presentation was lackluster. Within it, in this case here, you had your USB-C cable and your paperwork. I might even still have the cable in here because most of my USB-Cs I just keep at because I have so many of them. And that's it. You got a phone and a cable for $1,800. And that is where my argument is. Yes, a Z Fold 4, newer tech, better screen technology, the hinge, such and such and such, will run you $1,800 plus for a 128 gig variant. You put the $200 in, you have your 512. But you still got to add an additional maybe $200 to $300 to get everything, to get the full experience. Actually, you know what? If you add the S Pen, it's that much more, an extra $400 to get the full Fold experience that Samsung expects the end user to have. When with the original, for a decent price for what it was, new tech, it can fold. Everything was right there for the asking price of $2,000. So to me, the original was the better value proposition when it came to all of the folds that came after, because it gave you everything you needed right there, right in the box. No questions asked. This is how you were supposed to use this device. You need nothing else once you open this box. Now, I still use this phone pretty much daily. It's not a primary, it's not a secondary. It has become more of a tool for me to use in my video recording and my video editing. Almost every video I have done until I got my S22 Ultra, which is doing the recording now, has been recorded and pretty much edited on this device. It's just a wonderful device to do that kind of thing on. People will say, oh, well, the camera, well, the cameras are just fine for what I do. I don't need the highest end 4K recording. This does record in 4K if you have to. But I don't need the highest camera resolution and all of that camera techno babble when doing a YouTube video or recording a video of my family doing whatever. It's just not necessary. And over the years, the phone has only become better. Samsung announced that they would give each of their devices so many years of updates, and the original Fold does fall in line with that. This Fold, as old as it is running the same software as the new Z Fold 4. Now, to me, that's for better or for worse. I'm not particularly a fan of this little bar at the bottom of the screen. I much more preferred when you were able to pull your bar in from the side here and just have it stay. That dock there was amazing. It worked great for this form factor. With this one now, I feel this is kind of small. On my Tab S8 Ultra, it's great. You have access to all of your apps that you may want to go into. The controls are easy to reach because it's such a large screen. It's just wonderful to have it there. On the smaller screen, this is just really small, and it's not the best way for me that I would want to switch through things. Now, even the ability, because this is the new UI, to swipe in, I think with 2 fingers and get your other app going here. works, but again, very small screen. And I see what they're going for. I understand, but again, it works a lot better on a much larger screen. The newer Folds screen is a little bit larger than this one, so maybe it works better on those. I don't know. But for me, what they've done with this, with the taskbar at the bottom and all of that, isn't you know, the best fit for this phone. What they had before, to me, worked better with the original Fold. Now, does that stop me from using the device? Not at all. It's just a personal preference. I'm not a big fan of how the software works on this phone compared to all the devices that same software is on. But like I said, for the most part, this phone has been my main recording device, main editing device. When I'm out and about, this is what I use to play my cloud games. You find my Game Pass on this, my Stadia on this, any mobile games. Why? The large inner screen. Yes, there is a notch there, but you really just don't even realize it's there. I don't even see it unless I actively look at it. I've had this phone for so long. I've done so much with the phone that doesn't bother me at all. But for the most part, this phone does everything I have ever needed it to do. And because of the new software that keeps getting updated to it, it does even better now than it did then. So again, that value proposition is there. For what I paid for this, I have more than gone my money's worth. But this phone is still viable today. It's a foldable, one of the first foldables, and it's a testament to how well a quality made foldable can, or how long a quality made foldable can last, and how well Samsung's UI evolves year over year to keep things fresh, even on older devices. So not only does the UI, or has the UI evolved, I've also done various things to my device over the years to make it more comfortable for me. The main thing here is this little pull-in bar. Now I know that there's one on this side too that Samsung has, but this one, way more robust, way more things can be added to it, and it just works better overall for me. So now let's say I do my edit, I go into my editing suite, and it's just easier to edit on such a large, wonderful screen. Now you can edit this way, or you can turn and you can edit that way. Either way, you have a huge canvas to get your work done with, and you don't get this type of space on any other device, unless of course it is one of those foldable devices. And that's why, you know, I say it's a tool now, but it's a very versatile tool. The original Fold still does what so many other phones try to, but just can't get it right exactly. But there's still things that I feel this phone can do that the newer Folds just don't do very well at all. The main thing is open and close. I know you might say, hey, well, what are you talking about? They all open and close. But this has a certain feel when you open it. It's not overly hard to open. That's always one thing that I found with the Z Fold 3 and the Z Fold 4, even the 2. They made the hinge so strict, or so restricted in its movement. You know, I get that it has to stay at different angles, so I get why it's done. But it's just hard to open those phones. This one is just open, close, and it closes with that satisfying clack. And the big thing is there's a magnet, so it's not that it's overly easy to open, it's easier than those, and all that is keeping it closed is the magnet, and you feel that. But once you pull it apart from the magnet, the hinge is just loose enough that it just snaps right into place. And I always loved the way this felt over the other ones. The other hinges, because they can go to at any angle, and that's great. I love having the flex mode. That's wonderful, but it makes them actually pretty hard to open and close. This one actually has a little lip on it, case or not, so you put in your finger and you open. With the other ones, that lip is not there. You gotta kind of dig into your nail or whatever the case might be to get the device to pry open, and then you go from there. This one just works great. I always preferred how this hinge and this folding mechanism worked compared to the other ones. Now, the other thing that I prefer with this one over the others, and I know there'll be a lot of argument here, is the smaller screen. I can actually reach this entire screen with my fingers way easier than I can with the larger screen of the newer devices. I've never had an issue with this screen. I always loved having a small screen. It reminded me of having a smaller phone. And there's something to say about having a smaller phone. These large phones are everywhere, but sometimes you just need something that fits in your hand and has reachability. And you can reach wherever you need to reach. Pull down from the top, go into your apps, swipe up to get where you gotta go. And it was a full phone experience. People didn't like having these small screens because people don't like small screens. I personally never had an issue with these small screens. I actually preferred having a screen on the outside that was just easier to navigate. So I prefer the small screen over the larger screen of the newer folds and these other devices. Now, it is to be said that with this large screen, the keyboard is small. That's not even a question. But if you use swipe, it works fine. The other thing I preferred with this device over the other ones was, believe it or not, the lack of an S Pen. Now, you all know I love to write things down, so it might be odd to hear me say that, but hear me out. The fact that this phone couldn't use an S Pen, I wasn't expecting to have to write anything. The phone was what it was. I am a folding device. I can go from a phone to a tablet with no pen input. You don't need to look forward to that. You don't need to get into the mindset that, oh, I have to write things down. The newer models, the 3 and the 4, tout S Pen capability, but you can't write on the outer screen, which is the screen you would want to write on. I made a whole video about this, how it gets on my nerves how they position that device. And the most obvious choice, which would be to make the outer screen have the digitizer to write something, they chose to ignore it. This phone doesn't have that issue. There's just no S Pen, period. And I like that. This is not that device. There was this, then there were the notes, and everything had its place. This wasn't trying to cannibalize any other aspect of Samsung's operation. This was a folding phone. A phone that can fold from a phone to a tablet, from a small screen and unfold to a large screen, and that's it. If you want a large tablet experience from a phone, this is what you got. If you want to be able to write things down, then you got a Note. If you didn't want to write things down, but you want a large screen phone, you got one of the S lines. Everything was in its place. Now everything is blending. The Note is now part of the S line, but the Fold can also get an S Pen to do Note things. So things get kind of confusing when you want a certain device to do a particular set of features, but yet they all can do pretty much the same amount or the same set with the right accessory. It's any wonder that they have 3 different lines now, because 3 main lines now, because they technically don't need it. They just say, you know what? Here is the Fold. Throw an S Pen in the holster and get rid of the Note and have you write on the outer screen. And they've just gotten rid of the S line. They've gotten rid of the Note line. They've gotten rid of every A and whatever else line, because that one phone could technically do it all, but they don't. When this phone was around, everything had its place in the Samsung lineup. So I preferred that as well. Over the past few years, certain things have happened to the phone. Things the way they age, and 3 to 4 years of use out of a phone is nothing to scoff at. So for things to happen to the phone is to be expected. As it stands right now. And if this was at some point a fault of my own, is at some point just this year, the screen did crack. I don't even know when it cracked, because it's been in this case for months. And every now and then, I would take it out of the case just to see how the phone looks with the case off, because it is, even with the crack, a very sexy device. And I would clean the device, I'd wipe it down, you know, and such. And one time when I went to do that, I saw that it had cracked. At some point, it fell, I don't know when. And it cracked, even though it was in the case, because I had no idea this had happened. My phone, if you look when I open it, does not exactly open completely flat. I didn't even realize this was a thing until I took to the Samsung store. To me, it opens up flat. But the display now, man, it should go flatter than that. And yeah, I do feel that if I give the a little pull down, it does slightly go down more. I don't know if that's them just being annoying or if it really did fold all the way. But I do see that, yes, it doesn't fold flat anymore. There is a slight angle to it. I'm sure you guys can see that too. The other thing is the USB-C. Now, maybe it happened when it fell. I don't know, because I don't know when actually it broke. But the USB-C no longer reads anything but the charging cable. Before, I would use this to edit my videos, like I said, and I would plug in my USB-C earbuds, because there's no headphone jack here, you know, to get that one-to-one audio experience for the editing. And the headphones were working, then it just stopped. I took it to the Samsung store, they cleaned it, they did all that, and for about a week more, the headphones began to work, then it stopped again. And I just didn't bother to take it back. I cleaned it myself, and for about a day or two, it worked again. Then it stopped. Then it stopped charging, so I had to charge this thing only wirelessly. Then for some reason, it started to charge again with the cord, but it will not read any kind of headphones. I can't plug in any kind of hard drive, nothing like that. The USB, there's some issue there where it just cannot read certain things. But yeah, this one has done great by me. Would I recommend it today? No. There are newer ones out, and though there is the value prop position that I did speak about, you could get those newer ones for a better value than this is right now. That being said, I do think the original Fold, the leader, so to speak, for what it is, for what it was, did its job as the leader of this new wave of mobile devices. Yes, it had a rough start, but in the end, in my opinion, it came into its own. If you still have one, like I do, I know you can see what I'm talking about, because it works so well even now. Overall, this is a wonderful device, and I'm very glad that I took the leap when I did, regardless of the price, because it actually did a lot for me. It taught me a lot, and it set me on a path, reach in this YouTube space that I probably would have gone on if I didn't get the device. So here is to the original Galaxy Fold. Will I ever get rid of this phone? Probably not. Even when it dies, it'll just be a trophy for me, because it's more than just a device to me, and as such, I treat it with more respect than an everyday device. So, with that said, my name is NG, the NeonX, and just, giving thanks for the original Galaxy Fold. This is what I'm into.